Okay, so today we are going to proceed our chapter, the khilafat movement, and it became the cause of the advancing the Pakistan movement. So now let's go again to recap our previous topic, previous lessons, the background of the khilafat movement. As we discussed that the last king of the Ottoman, so khilafat movement 1919 to 1924, 4 years this movement proceeds in India. So let's go for the background of the Khilafat movement and the recap of the previous lecture. In the previous lecture, we discussed that the last king of the Ottoman Empire, Muhammad IV, was get a decision to take a side of the Germany in World War I. And Indian Muslim wanted to secure or restore the Khilafat Ismailia or Ottoman Empire. Why they wanted to? Because the Khilafat system was the pride of all Muslims in the world, whole world. So the treaty of, when the British won the World War I, they applied the Treaty of the Sabre on Turkey. According to the Treaty of the Sabre, that they had to punish the Turkey, that the Turkey should be split in the autonomous kingdom, especially the Arab land should get free under the Ottoman Empire. So holy places of the Makkah, Medina and Palestine is split in this treaty. So Indian Muslim leaders, Ali Ghadrans, A.K. Abu Kalam Azad, Maulvi Abdul Haq and the rest of the Muslim leaders launched this protest against the British as opposition party in India. All India National Congress also joined them in this movement. Why? So let's go for the next question. Why was the Khilafat movement launched? What was the purpose of this? Can anyone describe what was the purpose of this Khilafat movement to launch?
Now, basically what they wanted was to remove the sanctions that was imposed on the Ottoman Empire so that the Eastern power could be destroyed.
Okay. As we see in this movement, Hindu and Muslim joined head together and launched this Khilafat. So first of all, this Khilafat was symbol of unity or the self-rule. This point is very important in the 7 marks question or in the 14 marks and the 10 marks question. This reason you have to point out as a first reason because Hindu-Muslim unity pressurized the British together to stop them from the Treaty of the Sabre or the British Empire. Okay? Why? Because both of the political parties wanted self-rule. Both of these political parties didn't want the British to rule anymore in the subcontinent. Clear? So with the developed answer, you will describe the symbol of unity of the self-rule. The next point is, British wanted to dismember the Turkish Empire. What was the reason? Arrange? Yes, the Ottoman Empire took the side of the Germany and they gave away German soldiers to come in Asia. Okay, the Treaty of the Versailles divided Germany into 2 parts, Poland and Austria. So they were punished. Means Germany split into 2 parts, eastern part and western part. Okay? Yes, and then the new country after the World War I emerged on the world map, that was Poland and Austria. So the Treaty of the Sabre was in 1920 applied on the Ottoman Empire that all the Arab lands like Makkah, Medina and Palestine would be separate from Ottoman Empire. It means they broken the Ottoman Empire into small regional kingdoms. Next was British Prime Minister Lloyd George said. What he said, that as they applied the Treaty of Versailles over Germany and divided the Germany into 2 parts, so the same punishment will apply on the Ottoman Empire as well in the form of the Treaty of Sabre. Then opposition form of the political party organized organized in a form of the Khilafat movement by the Indian Muslims. Here, please make sure you have to write about the only Indian Muslims, not all Indian Muslim League. Because Qaidi Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah was not participating in Khilafat movement, and rest of the all Indian Muslim leaders, most of them refused to take a part in the Khilafat movement. Clear? The reason at the end when it was failed, we will see. So the next question is, how did the Khilafat movement progress? Now they launched this. It should be progress anyway. So for this purpose, they held a conference in the name of the Khilafat movement conference. Okay? So the first All India Khilafat conference held in November 1919 at Delhi. Ali brothers, Maulana Muhammad Ali Johan, Maulana Muhammad Ali Shaukat, as known as the Ali brothers, and other Muslim leaders, Abu Kalam Azad, and rest of the Muslim leaders joined hands together and came in this conference. Mahatma Gandhi, on behalf of the Indian National Congress, joined this conference and he led this conference. Okay? And combined political aim of both the political party was self-rule, means both of them wanted to their own rule in India. Now both of these political parties no more interested in the British rule in subcontinent. Clear this thing? So for this purpose, when they held a conference, they set their aims or goals or objectives. So 3 goals they set. The first goal was to boycott the British goods and services. This was not launched. It was just written as their aims. Okay. Second aim was to send a delegation in Britain to remind the British government that they had promised with the Muslims of the Indians that when the Indian Muslims will support in World War I with the British, if the British won the war, they will secure the Ottoman Empire. So they sent a delegation in Britain to remind their promise. And to make sure the importance of Khilafat for the Muslims. इसको इस बात की भी यकीन दहानी करवाना था इस डेलीगेशन ने कि जो खिलाफत सिस्टम था, it was started as well as it started from our Holy Prophet, may peace be upon him, and after the demise of our Holy Prophet, it was proceed in the Khilafat office by the 4 rightly guided caliphs. Though after the last caliph, 4th caliph, small Khilafat system arose from the world map, though their work was not exact like the 4 rightly guided caliphs, but still they were the symbol of the Khilafat system in the world or at the national, international scale. So till the 20th century, the Ottoman Empire was the sole Khilafat system which represented the Muslim world or Muslim Ummah at international scale. Clear? Take some water. So this was the aim. The aims were set in the first conference. Clear this? Any question? So come to the next Khilafat conference. The second Khilafat conference was held in 1990 at Amritsar. So all India Muslim League, now they participated as well as Indian National Congress. Both of them joined hands together in the second conference. They set their aims again that the political parties would oppose the British policies from dismemberment of Turkey, again to secure the Khilafat of Osmania or Ottoman Empire. Okay. Then second aim was Gandhi took their responsibility. Why Gandhi was considered as the leader of the Khilafat movement? Because in the subcontinent the majority population were Hindus. So ultimately, when Hindus, the huge majority population joined in together with the Muslims and pressurized the British, so ultimately they did pressure, insert much pressure on the British to change their mind. So for this purpose, Gandhi took the responsibility as a leader. And the third goal was to maintain Turkish khilafat. Again, Turkish khilafat को ही उन्होंने secure करना था या save रखना था. Clear? The third conference held Khilafat conference in July 1921, and this conference was the final conference. Clear? It was the final conference meeting over which they now launched their aims on the subcontinent. So for this purpose, non-cooperation movement were launched. In the non-cooperation movement, they said that the all Muslims of India should boycott the British goods or English goods, English education, as well as services. That much of the Muslim population were at that time engaged with the police and army services with the British. So all of them left their services, they left the education systems, as well as they boycott the English goods as well. Next was British called this as sedition. जब उन्होंने ये नॉन कॉपरेशन मूवमेंट चलाया पूरे इंडिया में और उन्होंने सर्विसेज और गुड्स से बाइकआउट किया, तो नाउ ऑन द नेक्स्ट साइड हम ब्रिटिश का रिफ्लेक्शन देख रहे हैं या उसका रिएक्शन देख रहे हैं. सो ब्रिटिश का रिएक्शन ये था कि उन्होंने नॉन कॉपरेशन मूवमेंट को सेडिशन का नाम दिया, मीन्स ट्रबल मेकिंग, कि आप लोग ब्रिटिश के लिए ट्रबल क्रिएट कर रहे हो, आप लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की सिचुएशन को थ्रेट कर रहे हो, कंट्री की जो भी सूरत हाल है उसको खराब कर रहे हो. तो इस चीज़ के लिए ब्रिटिश ने जो काम किया, उन्होंने सबसे पहले क्या किया है कि उन्होंने जो मुस्लिम लीडर्स थे जो खिलाफत मूवमेंट को बहुत ज़ोर शौक और इंटरेस्ट के साथ लीड कर रहे थे, अली ब्रदर्स को अरेस्ट कर दिया. ठीक है, दे सेंट अली ब्रदर्स, मौलाना मोहम्मद अली जौहर एंड मौलाना मोहम्मद शौकत अली को उन्होंने जेल भेज दिया. Where again in the prison as well, Ali brothers tried their best to persuade the British कि आपने हमसे प्रॉमिस किया था कि अगर हम इंडियन मुस्लिम्स फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर में आपको सपोर्ट करेंगे तो आप लोग ऑटोमन एम्पायर को कुछ नहीं कहोगे या उसको डिस्टर्ब नहीं करोगे. साथ में उन्होंने ये बोला कि अली ब्रदर्स ने परसुएड ब्रिटिश को इस तरह से किया कि जब आप लोगों ने जस्टिस ऑस्ट्रिया के लिए रखा और ऑस्ट्रिया को वो जस्टिस मिल गया, जर्मन के लिए आप लोगों ने रखा, जर्मन को भी मिल गया, सो व्हाई नॉट द टर्किश, क्योंकि मेन रोल इन द वर्ल्ड वॉर वन के जो कैरेक्टर्स थे वो तो जर्मन थे. तो जर्मन के लिए जब आपने वो जस्टिस का सीन क्रिएट कर दिया तो फिर टर्की का तो इतना कसूर भी नहीं था उसमें. तो इस वजह से बट अली ब्रदर्स फेल्ड टू परसुएड द ब्रिटिश. ठीक है, एट द एंड हम देखेंगे कि इस तरह से खिलाफत मूवमेंट दम तोड़ गया, क्योंकि लीडर्स के अरेस्ट होना इस बात की जमानत है कि मूवमेंट को आगे करने वाला जब नहीं रहेगा तो फिर लोगों को प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं मिलता कि वो कहाँ पे इकट्ठा हो, किसकी सुने, कौन उसको मोटिवेट करेगा टुवर्ड द एम्स एंड गोल्स. तो ये वाली चीज़ें आपको अमूमन 7 and 14 मार्क्स में क्वेश्चन आ जाता है. ये क्वेश्चन दैट हाउ डिड द खिलाफत मूवमेंट प्रोग्रेस. सो 3 कॉन्फ्रेंसेस आर तो 47 मार्क्स के लिए बहुत है कि जिसमें हर चीज़ आप डेवलप करके लिखोगे. Clear this thing? Okay. Now, why did the Khilafat movement fail? Can anyone tell? One leader? Yes, the leaders were arrested. British called this the non-cooperation movement as the trouble marking or a threat for them. So ultimately, they against them to shut down Indian movement. Clear this thing? Okay. Moreover, we will read next in the next period that why did the Khilafat movement fail? So this question most of the time comes in the 10 months, later days in the 14 months. So we'll discuss the reason and thank you. Any question? No.
The Khilafat movement failed. One of the reasons why Khilafat movement failed is because this movement, when in 1920, when the Muslims left all their properties behind them and left for Afghanistan. After this, they faced many problems in their journey, and Afghans were very Afghans welcome them to their
States.
but then they refused to accept them as their
Who led the Hijrat movement?
This movement was led by Abdul Bari of
Bari, Maulvi Abdul Bari of Lucknow and Abu Kalam Azad. Okay. And what they called India?
India currently specific Dar will have any हमारी enemy features तो जिसमें ये लोग way of living in some fully compromising.
Okay. Why they were much concerned with the Hijrat or why Hijrat, you can link the Hijrat with the Islam. Why you, how you link?
It was basically to protect their religion and
As well as life,
yes,
where there is threatened.
they were highly the religion was highly compromised from the British and also the Hindus. So they set out from Afghanistan to live their lives peacefully.
In the first Hijrat movement, how many people went to Afghanistan?
About 18,000 people left for Afghanistan.
Okay. And when
But
more?
then Afghans refused to accept them as a refugee.
Okay, when they came back, what they faced?
When they came back,
They lost their properties and these people lost their lives. Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Why did the Khilafat movement fail? I'll maybe explain the first reason and I'll explain the second reason, that is the Muslim uprising, which was started in 1921. Basically, when the Khilafat movement was formed, the British felt it as a general anti-British threat. And so they took actions against the members of the Khilafat movement with widespread arrests, and they also arrested the political leaders involved in the Khilafat movement. So, and there were many nationwide strikes by the members of the Khilafat movement and the Muslims of India. After which, in South India, there was an uprising by the Muslims of South India. Basically, they set a police station on fire, and from there they took ammunition and they were fleeing. So after this, the British sent in troops, and they took about 4,000 of the Muslims. And this way, it was a huge reason for the downfall of the Khilafat movement because of the failure, and basically it made the British feel that this movement was against them and was a direct threat to them, and in future to law and order. So that's why the British took repressions against this movement, and this also created a communal rivalry between the Muslims and the Hindus. And this made the British feel that they wanted to go through, and so they arrested them.
Thank you.
Ma'am, this had many reasons. The first reason was the Hijrat movement, the second was the Mokla uprising, and the third reason was surely the incident that occurred in February 1922. It happened in Kaishara, which is located in Gurdaspur district. In this incident, angry protesters clashed with the policemen, British was alive. This incident was then reported to Gandhi, who at that time was already noticing the violence and aggression towards the British, but he planned peaceful protest and was getting annoyed by the violence towards the British and thought that this was not according to plan. And this caused him to call off his campaign of non-cooperation movement. This got a lot of hatred by the Congress leaders and the Muslims as well, who blamed him for backing up the movement when it was rising with enthusiasm and everyone was very enthusiastic about the movement. The British also noticed that he had lost all his supports and took advantage of this situation and arrested Gandhi for 6 years of their time. And Gandhi was 6 years in jail.
Why did the Khilafat movement fail? One of the reasons of the Khilafat movement that failed is that during the Khilafat movement, the Hindus pulled off their support to the Muslims. As Gandhi said, in laying down my life for Khilafat to ensure the safety of his cause, Gandhi felt that the anti-British feeling. He thought that for safety of people, to ensure any violence, to avoid any violence, Gandhi just pulled off the Khilafat movement, pulled off the support of the Khilafat movement before Mustafa Kamal abolished this whole Khilafat system. And this caused the unity broke between the Muslims and the Hindus, as Gandhi was the main leader of the Hindus in this Khilafat movement.
Good.
क्वेश्चन में कि खिलाफत मूवमेंट क्यों फेल हुआ, उसका एक रीजन है कि मुस्तफा कमाल पाशा ने खिलाफत मूवमेंट को ख़त्म करने के लिए डिसीजन लिया। उसको पूरे मुस्लिम उम्मा से उन्होंने खिलाफत मूवमेंट को ख़त्म करने का डिसीजन लिया। उनको मुस्लिम उम्मा से कोई बात नहीं था, क्योंकि पूरी दुनिया की मुस्लिम उम्मा की नज़र उनकी पर थी, क्योंकि इधर खिलाफत मूवमेंट चल रही थी। तो उन्होंने
टर्किश नेशनलिस्ट
कंपेन चलाया, जिसमें उन्होंने कैलिफ को हटा के अपना एक पपिट कैलिफ रखा 2 साल के लिए। फिर 2 साल बाद वो भी हट गया, क्योंकि मतलब वो खुद को यूजलेस समझ रहा था। और फिर
कोई रीजन नहीं बचा खिलाफत मूवमेंट को प्रोसीड करने का।
कोई रीजन ही नहीं बचा, तो खिलाफत मूवमेंट को
प्रोसीड करने
के लिए
इन द
खिलाफत मूवमेंट ना रहा। और ये लास्ट कैलिफ जिसको एग्जाइट किया गया था, फ्रांस शिफ्ट हो गया, और इसी तरह
खिलाफत सिस्टम खत्म हो गया। ठीक है, थैंक यू।
Now, although the Khilafat movement did fail, and many people thought it was a waste of time, although it did not achieve its goal of restoring the Ottoman Empire, but I assure you that it wasn't a waste of time, and it was of great significance to the Muslim brothers of subcontinent, both to the Muslims and the Hindus, because after World War I, the British did not support Turkey, and the Muslims, because their holy places were there, they did not support the British, and the reason for opposition came. The first reason was that the Hindus and the Muslims, they united against the non-British cooperative movement, and this was a reason that the Muslims realized that they had their own political power, and if they gathered together, they could fight for their own civil rights. And when the British opposed this movement of the Muslims, this just ensured the Muslims that the British was only the subcontinent for their own purposes. And after the Khilafat movement failed, Adani brothers had left India, and their mother transformed this movement into the Dekhe Rahenge Pakistan movement, which emerged very successful in 1947.
So there were positive judgments of why did the Khilafat movement fail, and the negative judgment of the Khilafat movement fail. So I was going to tell you the negative judgments of it. So that the first was that Muslims were given up from their jobs and from the public service, and the students were forsaken from their studies apart from the non-cooperation movement that was established in 1920. Many unfortunate Muslims try to escape from it and emigrate to the Afghanistan, but they returned home with economic misery. Therefore, the freedom movement and the joint efforts of from the Hindus and the Muslims were that they were heading towards the and common objective, which was later on wedged between these two communities. These events prove that the Hindus and Muslims cannot live together in any harmony. So the Khilafat movement could be seen as the Muslims were nearer to the forming a new state or independent state. Thank you.